How do we start?
Yeah. Recording's on, mate. Have fun, be yourself. Yeah, mate. You changed, mate. Good to see you, mate. It's I look back to the time I met you. It was 2016, yeah?
Yeah, it's the end of 2016, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, 2016. No, actually it was 2016. It was a January. Because that
No,
was
no, no, no. It should be the end of 2016 or early 2017. That's when I first joined or just
yeah.
joined the company. Yeah. So
Probably
I
early
flew to India.
2017. Early
Yeah,
2017.
yeah.
And
Must be, yeah.
bit of a
In
side
five
story.
years.
Yeah, a bit of a side story, guys. I actually met Jonathan. We're both stranded at Chennai airport because Air India didn't come on time. So, guys, welcome to the guy I shared a room with whilst we were staying in Chennai, far away.
Yeah, it was strange sharing a room with a stranger. Well, it's not my first time sharing a room with a stranger the day that I met him or her. So
Yeah,
it's first time with a guy. So it's quite strange there.
mate, we got along very well. I remember the time I think we got put up in a nice suite in a hotel, but then they kicked us out and we had to go to a smaller room.
Did we?
Yeah,
I remember being in a suite. I
remember
don't
that was a
remember
pretty good.
changing rooms.
Remember that was a good room. But then we had to move and went into a room where there was two single beds side by side.
No, I might have left by the time you switched rooms. I think.
Oh yeah,
Or
you gone.
either
Yeah,
that, yeah.
you left me, mate. You were like, I'm getting the hell out of there, eh?
Yeah, I didn't want to stay too long. It was meant to be a 1 day trip and I got delayed by that Air India flight, so I didn't want to stay long. Got out as soon
Yeah.
as I can. How about you? I can't recall. You flew the next day, right, to Singapore
Yeah.
as
So
well?
what happened was that I actually went with I can't remember who it was, some airways. Yeah, you're right. Actually, you actually headed home first.
Yep.
You were smart actually because I think you got like a flight from like you got the earlier flight, right? I ended up boarding at about probably midnight at Chennai Airport, and you were quick. You changed your flight. I was like, oh, it'll be all right. It'll be all right.
Yeah.
Not the
I
case.
remember that.
And
Yep.
I actually missed my meeting back in Singapore because it just completely got me out of whack.
Okay. But do you manage to do a makeup meeting with that client or colleague?
No,
No?
lost
Oh,
it.
that's bad. Oh, it was a client.
There was a client as well, and
Oh
it
man,
was bad too.
unfortunate.
It was actually a very important one. But you know what? The positive was that I got to meet you. We had a great
Yep.
time.
Yep. Here we are
Uh,
5 years later.
Here we are 5 years later, mate. So what's this new job,
Yeah.
Jonathan? What's this new job you're getting into?
It's the same, just a new company. It's
Yeah,
mainly to do with investments in renewable energy. So I'm just in
nice.
the investment team doing that. Yeah. It's
Hey,
pretty good.
big area, mate. I actually read an interesting article about the Government Investment Corporation of Singapore.
Uh-huh.
Um, Mate, it was amazing. They had like 20-year rolling returns. Don't worry about anything that's short term. There's 20-year rolling returns that they focus on.
Yeah, I've read that recently as well because we have Singaporeans who don't know much and they're complaining about the investment funds in Singapore losing money, which is not true.
Yeah.
Over the long term, I think the investment funds in Singapore, I think they beat, I would say, the average across globally. So I think it's pretty good. But I'm not looking for the fund in Singapore though. It's some private equity funds,
Nice, buddy.
which come from Europe. Yeah.
You guys focusing on certain any renewable, maybe hydrogen or green metals or
The more developed ones like solar, wind, and hydro. A little bit of storage and maybe hydrogen, but that's not going to be a main focus because of the returns perspective.
wow, that's actually pretty
Yeah.
interesting, mate. I remember in Australia, I think the guys from Atlassian are building something called a sun cable
Mm-hmm.
where they plan to export. There's going to be a pipe underneath the sea, export solar generated power from the Northern Territory, and then transfer the energy underground to
Yeah.
Singapore or Malaysia. I'm not too sure if you heard of that one.
No, not that I've not heard about that specifically, but I think
Sun
it's
cable. Check it out, buddy. It's actually pretty interesting. I don't
yeah,
know.
I've read it. I read a little bit about it. It's mainly Singapore not being able to build I think infrastructure for renewable energy projects. So
Yeah.
the only way to reduce carbon footprint for Singapore would be to import renewable energy, and that will be from neighboring countries like Malaysia, Thailand, and of course through these countries, other countries as well, Australia and so on. Yeah, it's pretty good. I think it's a good initiative for energy intensive place like Singapore. So it's good that government's making plans to reduce carbon footprint for Singapore. So that's good.
Nice. So
it's a step in the right direction for sure.
So obviously from Singapore's point of view, the whole COVID thing, has that sort of really got under control now, or so to speak?
COVID?
COVID. Like I know Hong Kong. I've got friends in Hong Kong, and they're saying it's ravaging Hong Kong, because I think the vaccination rate in Hong Kong is only 60%.
Oh, it's about, I think, 80 plus, close to 90%, if I'm not wrong. I think generally it's well managed in Singapore. You don't see high cases of deaths due to not enough spaces in the hospital or things like that. So overall, it's quite well managed. But in terms of the restrictions that implemented, I would say it's a little bit back and forth. So at one time they would say there's a restriction of maybe 5 people, and then they'll change it to 8, and then shortly after change it back to 2, and then back to 5 again. So there's a lot of these
back and forth
restrictions, changes. Yeah, so it makes things hard for business owners, I would say, and also for citizens. It's a little bit frustrating. It's been about 2 years, I think. Yeah, so it's getting frustrating. But of course, I'm sure the government has their limitations or considerations in mind which we may not understand. So of course, trying to bear with it as much as we can.
Yeah, it's mate. You would get out of the country and go on your honeymoon, mate.
No, I didn't. So yeah, I'm not sure if I told you. I got married at the end of 2019.
You did,
yeah, we planned a honeymoon for April or March 2020, and that's when COVID just spread across the globe. And that's where we had to cancel our honeymoon, and until now we've still not been able to go for 1 year. So we're still waiting. I'm waiting for all restrictions, all the testing, all the quarantine, all the stay in a hotel or stay home notices to stop before we start to plan for one. So I really don't want to go through all the hassle of being at one place and then going through all the procedures.
It's going to be a bit of a pain, mate. Like health number one. But I know you and your wife will probably be looking forward to it when the time comes. But interesting sort of segue, mate. Obviously I had you sort of fill out a bit of a simple free question, just to get things rolling, mate. And I go, man, that's deep.
I wouldn't say it's deep. I think everyone goes through that at some point in their life, right? Wondering what the meaning of life is.
So what's the meaning of life, Jonathan? So guys, meaning of life, mate. Meaning of life conversation, mate. This is a tough one, mate. I could probably go on and on and on. I think I've actually got the answer for you, mate, but I'm not going to say it yet. So meaning of life for you,
I would love to hear from you. I've been through this thought process for a long time now. I think most of us will come to the same conclusion, which is there is no meaning, and we should just enjoy it as much as we can.
Yeah.
That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is there's no meaning, so whatever you do doesn't matter. And then some people take it negatively, some people use it positively. So it really depends on, I would say, personality, life experiences, and just your perspective on life.
So how do you see it? So which group are you in?
Yeah, for me, unfortunately, I'm leaning more towards the negative side, which I don't really want to, or I don't really like it. But to me, I find it a bit of a struggle, trying to get myself motivated to do things, knowing that, ultimately it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. I know it's not a good way to look at it, but
no, bro.
Something you can't change, right? It's just
it's you, man. It's yeah.
Of course, I try to focus on the bright side as well, knowing that just moving to life, there's no need to place so much pressure on yourself or what you're trying to do in life. So there's always the good side of that. So I'm just trying to focus more on that side rather than harping on the negative parts of it. Yeah. How about you? Interesting to hear your thoughts about it as well.
Yeah. It's interesting what you said, mate. So basically, you said there are 3 camps. There's one of them who thinks there is meaning to life. Number 2, there are ones that go, no, there's nothing to it. And obviously, there's only 2 of them, right? Either you think there is or you think there isn't. And obviously that affects you positively and negatively. Obviously, the one where there's no meaning to it, it could be both negative and positive, right?
Yep.
But
That's what I'm coming from.
you're saying it's for more from the negative angle from yourself, that there's really nothing to it. Is that right? Or
For me, that's how I feel. It's not that I see it that way, but just my feeling about it, it's more negative than positive. Even though I know there are both sides to both sides to that, but
the
just
negative side of
naturally,
you is sort of coming out.
yeah,
But
yeah,
you do want to keep it positive.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
I think for me, mate, it's this.
Sorry?
It's this. It's what I'm doing now. Like I feel I did this. What's the feeling, buddy? It's taken me a long time. I completely agree with you.
In what sense? That everyone comes to this, or
okay, well, it's going to be a bit of a tricky answer for me. Like, is there meaning? I think, okay, I don't think there's no meaning to life. Okay.
Yep.
Where I find that in this world now, when the basic needs have been met, food, shelter, water have been met, we're good. We're done. And that obviously now the world's been created. We do this, there's crypto, there's so much stuff out there, right? There's no meaning to it because we are organisms at the end of the day. And I think we overcomplicate things as well because we're so clever, so to speak. We imagine things, we feel a lot of different things. We have so many different emotions, right? But I think if you were to strip it away, at the end of the day, mate, you and I will be dead.
Yeah, that's it, right? Our
Not a
bodies
bad
are going to
way.
break down. Yeah. I mean, just more from a very neutral way. Our bodies are going to break down. We're going to be, absorbed into the earth, and that's it.
That's it. And
right?
then I realized that's actually a good way. That's actually a good way of thinking things. And then for me, right, I'm thinking, well, okay, there's no meaning to it. Brilliant. There's no pressure. Let's just have fun. Let's enjoy the company of Jonathan. And I'm so thankful that you and I are still talking after that brief moment back in early 2017. I'm so thankful, buddy. And
yeah, it's one of the amazing things in life, meeting someone from another part of the world, just a brief interaction, and then
such a random moment, bro. Such a random moment.
Yeah.
And you did. Okay, there's no meaning to it, right? But then I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm having a great time talking to you right now, bro. I don't know when's this going to end. We talk for 10, 20, 30, whatever, right? I feel great at the moment. Seeing your face, chatting to you right now. It's an honor for you to take time out of your day to come for a chat, bro. And I feel that's the meaning of it all. The meaning of it all is that you and I are having a chat. We're having fun. We're having a conversation. And if I were to go deeper, if people listen to this podcast or people watched it, whatever, and they can get something out of our conversation, to me, the meaning of life is to try to help others. That's what I think.
That's one way. Yeah, that's one way to add meaning or try to find meaning in life. But again, I'm not trying to push things or drive things to the negative side. It's just the way I think. Again, right? So to me, it's like, so what if you achieve all of this, or so what if you help others or you don't help others in your life? Ultimately, it's not going to matter. Like maybe thousands of years, millions of years from now, it doesn't exist anymore, right? Records of humanity may not even exist. Nothing matters anymore.
No, it doesn't.
What's the point of us doing all of this? That's just a very dark way of.
No. It's just how you say. I'm curious, buddy. Did that come from somewhere?
It's not all at one go. So when I was young, I think when I was about 12, I had a meaning. I had this dream about death. So that had I would say, a pretty deep impact on the way I look at life.
Wow. So it's a catalyst.
From there on, so it gradually built from there and started thinking, what's the meaning of life? And then when you grow older, you start thinking, why are you going through all this? Why do you have to do this? Why do you have to do that? And then just question the meaning of everything that you're doing. So I think many people, they come out come out with different conclusions. Some take it, again, like I said earlier, some take it positively, some take it negatively. I wouldn't say that I'm deep in the negative end. I'm just saying that I'm more leaning towards looking at it
On a darker
in a negative
side.
way. Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like that I'm that way, but that's how it is, and I'm really just trying to focus on the positive. Enjoy life while we can. Enjoy every moment, spend it with people you love, things like that. So that's just something on my mind recently. Not that I'm harping on it.
Interesting. No, I appreciate about it.
Yeah.
Does your wife feel similar, or is she the one going,
No, yeah,
Jonathan?
yeah. She's I think she's more positive. She's more
Nice.
carefree. I would say she knows that I feel this way about life, but she's more like, yeah. What she's always saying to me, why do you think so much? Just enjoy life. The meaning of life is just to enjoy it. It's simple. There's no need to think so much. So that's how she is. So it's good. I mean, it makes things lighter for me, I would say. So it's good that I married someone who is on the
That's
opposite
great.
end of this.
Yeah. Sorry, John. What's her name again? Sorry, I know I've seen the photos of you. I remember you
My
showing
wife,
me.
yeah. Her name's Amanda.
Amanda. Yep, I remember now. Yep.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. So that's good that she's been very positive. You need that, hey.
Yeah, of course. It's always good to hear someone who has a lighter take on things rather than harping on it together, wondering what's the meaning of life. It's not going to be very healthy. Yeah.
Interesting. Because I know you mentioned, obviously, at this stage of your life, you're married now. Kids?
Yeah.
It's
Initially, when I was, I mean, it's something that we are thinking about. So when I was younger, when I was in my early 20s, I used to teach swimming to kids. So I got along really well with them. I really enjoyed the job. So I always felt that, kids would be something that I want sometime in my future. But after graduating, starting the work life, feeling the pressure of society expectations, and I just started feeling overwhelmed with what we have to deal with as an adult.
You mean responsibilities, or what do you mean, like?
Yeah, responsibilities as an adult. Having to pay your bills, mortgages, performing well at work, things like that. So I'm just starting to feel overwhelmed. This wasn't how I pictured adulthood would be when I was a lot younger. I just thought it would all be easy, carefree. I just expected something different. So when I started entering this phase, I just felt it was far from what I expected. Took me some time to adapt to it. So right now, when it comes to thinking about having kids, I'm just a bit hesitant whether or not I will feel even more overwhelmed by responsibilities of having a kid. So that's one side of the decision, and the other side, of course, is asking myself why I want to bring a kid into this world when I feel that there's no meaning to life.
Wow.
If you get what I mean. Yeah, so it's like I'm forcing a kid, I'm forcing existence onto a kid when I myself do not believe that, or may not believe that life is really entirely that worth
how?
not in the sense that
Wow.
not in the sense that I want to commit suicide or anything like that. It's just whether or not it's worth it to bring a life in and go through life, because as we all know, life is not going to always be smooth sailing, right? A lot of it's going to be suffering as well. It's going to be meeting
Heartache.
Demands of heartache,
Failures,
demands of
tragedy,
yourself. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, whether it's worth it for another life to be going through all of this when I don't really feel that it's precious, or just I'm not that positive about whether or not life is that worth living.
Hence you think that if you bring someone into this world, how will you show him and her the way to live, so to speak, if you yourself don't value it, so to speak? Is that correct? In that way, or?
No, that's not where I'm from. If I were to bring a child into the world, definitely I would do my best to show or do everything I can to let the kid have a positive life. Yep. Where I'm coming from is I don't believe that there is a purpose in life, and looking at the world as it is now. I'm not saying that it's negative or it's going to be doomsday, but there's just so much complications. A lot of times it's just overwhelming. Not everybody is kind. It's not always a pleasant place to be in. So I'm not sure if I feel that way, whether or not it's right or fair for me to force this on.
To put someone in that situation.
Yeah. So that's how I feel. That's where I'm coming from, and that's where it's sort of putting a pause to me wanting to procreate with my wife. So there are two sides of it. One is, responsibilities might be overwhelming, and the other part of it is just whether or not I think it's fair for me to be putting someone in the same situation.
Because the world's not a nice place. Because when you shared that response to me, you said, the existential dread of, obviously people aren't very nice. What did you actually mean by that? It was a very interesting line you had there.
I don't mean that the world is always a bad place. I'm just saying that it's not always a pleasant place. So you would always have to go through things that you don't like in life, and you see people suffering, or you yourself you're suffering in some ways, and it's not always a good thing to be able to have to go through, and it stays with you for life when you experience some of these things.
And naturally, you got some personal experience in your life that you've experienced, and you're like,
No, I've actually had a very good and easy life, I would say.
Wow.
Always had supportive families, friends. So I wouldn't say I've been through a lot of bad stuff. It's just when I look at the world around me, I don't always take in just the good stuff. I think I experience the bad stuff more deeply than the good stuff. So that stays with me, and I just don't think having to go through all of this, or having to see people, or knowing the people are going through some of the bad stuff in this world, it may not always be a good thing to have life or new life in this world right now. It's a very negative way of looking at it. I'm aware of that, but that's just how I feel. And
no,
I just don't feel good forcing this on someone else when I personally feel this way. So that's one of my considerations.
Here's interesting, buddy. Like, do you want to change? Do you want to change from negative to positive?
Of course, nobody wants to stay negative, right? It doesn't feel good at all. But I'm also aware that I want to know. I don't want to feel everything in a good way just for the sake of it, and then ignoring or blocking out reality. So I'm just trying. I'm still pretty young. I'm 32 this year, but I will consider myself pretty young. So because I'm still learning to process my thoughts, learning to understand the world around me, and try to come out of it with a more positive perspective of life. And
good, mate.
I'm still trying.
Mate, it's a great step forward, mate. And it'll be wrong for me to come talk to you, go, hey man, you got to be positive. You got to think X, Y, Z, da, 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 da. It's not as easy as that, is it? I can't, it's not as easy as that, but it's really a mindset shift. But here's a funny thing, mate. I caught up with a friend who's been living in London for the past 10 years, and we had a chat this morning. We were at the beach. It was Malabar Beach, by the way. It's Google it one time, right? Malabar Beach. It's in Sydney, Australia, Sydney, New South Wales. And the weather forecast said it was going to rain. It was going to be overcast. It was going to be terrible. And we got there. It was 10 o'clock in the morning. The sun came out. It was beautiful. And we talked about life. We talked about keeping the positivity and the negativity that's sometimes kicking into it. It's not easy, is it? It's a constant change. Is it a battle in your head sometimes?
It's a battle to stay positive, to stay motivated, because sometimes when you start thinking about what's the point of all this, you just don't want to do anything, right? So yeah, it's a struggle sometimes just to stay motivated, I would say, to do things. Yeah. I wouldn't go so far to say that I have depression or anything. It's just me understanding that this is how I feel.
Mate, I'll fly to Singapore, mate, just to slap your face if you need me to. But no, I appreciate the honesty, mate, because a big part of this podcast is that I just wanted to people to speak their mind. Like, you're right,
Yep.
not everything is rosy, bro. Not everything is flowers and freedom and making money and being successful. And there is the other side of the coin where people are struggling. It's hard. You need to fight on. You need to push. You need
Yep.
to you need to see the rainbow, as they say.
Yeah, definitely. But I think the funny thing for me is everything is really going well in my life, even together with my wife. So I'm doing better in my career than I expected. Married a wonderful wife. Just everything is going the right direction, but I just don't understand why I'm feeling this way. But I think it's really just because of the way I see life. I see it's not always rosy for everybody, and yeah, there's just difficulties. And of course, when I look at the rest of my life, sometimes I think it's turning out a lot different from what I expected when I was younger. I would say because I was very naive when I was young. I just thought life would be easy, always carefree. Yeah, I just thought it would always be that way. But growing up, you see that life is not always going to be like that. And then when you look at the rest of your life, most of us will be just you're just working for the rest of your life till you retire. So that's a good half of your life. So that's one of area where I had to come to terms with growing up, and then I think that sort of changed my perspective on life as I grew older. So just trying to understand this and trying to accept what life is, and try to think what the positives. Of course, try to find meaning in life. Some people turn to religion, some people turn to charity work or things like that. For me, I'm still trying to find that in order to come out of this negative mindset. Yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting though. Like just getting back to the conversation I had with a friend this morning. We talked about it's good that you recognize it, and we talked about how does one person change negative to positive, whatever, right? And we talked about whether there's a catalyst. Like, let's be honest, a lot of people don't change, do they? Unless there was this emotional catalyst that really shot them up the bum, so to speak, and that's when you're really going to change. And I'm sort of wondering, is there a catalyst? Would you need a catalyst, in other words, to help you really make that switch? Just as a side point, buddy, man, I'm 37 now. I've got a 4-year-old son. My wife is about to give birth on the March 20th. So 4 more weeks, pretty much. And being a dad.
Congrats.
No, I appreciate it. It's such a privilege to be a dad. I never knew that being a dad would give me so much joy. I'm not saying. I'm not saying that should be a catalyst. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. Of course, I don't deny that having children is going to make your life a lot more joyful, a lot happier.
But obviously,
I don't deny that
but you don't want to put them in that bad situation, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't mean to put people down who have kids or who use kids as a reason to make their life more meaningful. I don't mean to do that. So I've heard that a lot, but I really don't want to use kids as a way to add meaning to my life, because I don't think that is the right reason at all.
You need to find it within yourself first.
Exactly. Yeah. I really need to find purpose. Life is worth worth living, and it's really worth giving someone else this gift of life. I need to feel that way before I can happily create a child to come to this world. So that's how I see it. I don't want to force this obligation of life on this child just so that I can make myself happier in my own life. So I find that a little bit selfish. So I don't want to do it that way. And I'm not saying that everybody who does that is selfish. It's just my way of looking.
No, I think I think when these come to these conversations, mate, they're so nuanced. And there's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
But what's great is that you recognize this, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
curious, mate. You know, like you recognize it, right? What do you plan to do about it?
About having kids or
no, just trying to find that more positive Jonathan, so that he can find
step
it for
one.
himself. Yeah, how can you
Yeah, of course.
how can you
Step one.
how do you find it yourself, bro? That's a good question. How do you find it for yourself?
Yeah, step one, of course, would be always be to focus on the positives as much as you can. So any one of the things that you enjoy in life, focus on that. Try to stay in a good mood, things like that. And then, of course, that would be the very first and most basic step, I would say. And then the next, of course, would be to try to find the one thing in life that would give you meaning in life. For some people, it would be having kids. For some people, it would be doing charity work, like I mentioned earlier.
It could be
so
a dream.
For me,
could be a dream career. Could be anything, really. Eh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So for me, I really haven't figured that out yet. So still trying to find that. If I ever find it, I'll let you know.
Hey, keep going, mate. I would love to see how you can sort of, and obviously with Amanda, and I'm sure you had these conversations with her.
Yeah, of course.
What's she saying to you, Jonathan? Go out there, explore, do what you need to do.
She's more again just repeating. Why do you think so much? Just let it. Just look at it from a simple. Yeah,
just try to park it somewhere.
Be simple.
Just try to park
it.
Not
park it. Not park it somewhere. She just encourages me to look at things at a more simpler way. You know, not to focus on too much on why there is life. What's the purpose of this? Just enjoy your life, right? That's how she does it. She's a lot happier than I am, for sure.
It's a nice simplicity in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And ideally, I would want to look at life that way as well. But of course, some things you can't change. So
no, you can't.
For people like me, yeah, you got to figure out what you want to do or how you want to look at life. So trying to do that.
Have you shared this with your close friends, or is this
not close friends? Yes, but in general with friends, don't go too deep. People don't generally like to talk about this stuff for casual conversations. But close friends, yes. I also have a cousin who I text occasionally, so she sometimes forwards me articles or recommended books she recommends or videos she recommends. To give a perspective on things like that. I think she goes through the same thoughts as I do, so it's good just to share thoughts and any readings or videos that you can read or have a look at to understand or have a different perspective on what life is and how we can focus on the good things rather than thinking about the meaningless of life.
Mate,
it's pretty good. Yeah.
You know what's funny, Jonathan, is that a lot of it, I've gone through it.
Yeah, I'm sure people do. For sure.
I'm sure people do, mate. Has there been an article or a book where you're like, yeah, this could maybe work from your cousin? Or
yeah, I mean, she recommended a book, but it was pretty good. I can't remember the name now, but it was more it's just a way of looking at life where life is everybody. Life belongs to everybody. We are all one entity. It sounds a bit hippie, but
no,
it's true. Yeah, it's life shouldn't be looked at individually. We are all belonging to the same sort of energy form, something like that. So it just takes away the pressure from you to focus so much on
the individual, so to speak.
Yeah, it takes away the focus on the individual. So it takes away the pressure of you trying to make yourself the best version of yourself, or trying to make sure you are happy, or things like that. So it's a very spiritual way of looking at life, and it sort of makes you feel better about life in the sense that there really is no meaning, and just focus on the present, live your life, and that's it. Yeah, so
you're not a religious guy, hey, Jonathan?
Yeah, I'm not. So I've noticed that as well. People who are religious, they focus their energy on their religion, so they don't think so much about meaning of life, because they believe that there's afterlife. Do your part here, and then you go to somewhere else after you pass away. So they
Yeah.
believe in that. So I think that focuses their energy on that, and they don't harp so much on
They don't
say the
dwell too much on certain
yeah,
things.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So but for people like me, I'm a very logical guy, so I can't really, even if I want to,
You can't
I couldn't
envisage
really.
just the spiritual stuff because it's not
Yeah,
very
yeah, yeah.
tangible.
It's not tangible. It's not scientific. Not scientific, I would say. So I can't really, put myself in that position where
You sound like
believe.
my wife. You sound like my wife, Jonathan.
Yeah, probably can have a good conversation with her. Yeah, so because of that, I can't use religion as a way to focus my energy on, or take away my dwellings on life. So I just have to find a different way to do that. So still trying to explore that. Yeah.
Interesting.
Have you had this? Have you had this conversation with your wife as well?
I've had this meaning of life. Just as a side point, like
Yeah, of course.
the best thing, just as a side point here, Jonathan, like when you and I met, right? 2020, early 2017, right? Like
Yep.
I was lucky in 2009 when I got diagnosed with chronic kidney disease.
Oh, did you know that?
And so essentially, it was so bad that I didn't know about it, right? It was just like that. Basically, in 2009, September the 3rd, I was diagnosed with chronic kidney disease. Essentially, so your kidney, a normal person's kidney functionality is measured by EFGFR, right? Correct if I'm wrong. It just basically measures the functionality of the kidneys to filter out the toxins in your blood system, right? So for healthy guy like yourself, 90 to 100. Naturally, as you get a bit older, it's going to degrade because we're an organism, right? My one was 13.
1-3. Wow. Okay.
So 1-3, right? So essentially, bro, my kidneys were fat. It wasn't kidney failure. It was my kidneys were failing. They're failing. They would
Yep.
give me another 3-6 months, and I continued on my lifestyle. I would have been dead because chronic kidney disease is one of those diseases where it's very hard to diagnose. You don't feel anything. By all means, if you're a doctor, you would know that you might be urinating and the urine is quite bubbly. That's basically the protein coming out of your kidneys because your kidneys can't process it, right? So for me, I've been thinking about the meaning of life ever since I got kidney failure back in 2009, Jonathan. And in 2010, I could tell you that I almost had a heart attack. And
Wow.
so from my experience, buddy, I never told you this, but obviously, you wouldn't know, right? We're just chatting, we're just playing around, we're just taking advantage of the room service in the hotel in Chennai. So for me, I've always been thinking about it, the whole meaning of life, the passion thing, and like no one knows about this, right? No one. I'll tell you right now, this is exclusive. In 2000 to 2011, I basically started a dating business. I did singles events and speed dating events, speed dating, right? And little do people know that the first event I held back in 2011, that time, right? I was actually in the hospital the night before.
Wow.
No one knows about that, bro. I haven't told anyone this.
Even your wife?
My wife has always been with me. She was my girlfriend. She's
Oh, okay.
But obviously back then it was still quite early, mate. You know, like we're still going out. No one knows this, bro. I took out my computer. So this is basically about maybe 6 to 9 months after my kidney transplant. I've got a kidney transplant, Jonathan, because my kidneys
Good, right?
failed. Sorry, it's good.
Right,
I'm loving it. Anyway, so getting back to your question about, I've been thinking about it for such a long time now. And the reason I'm telling you this because so I was in hospital the night before. I didn't know when I would get out, and I didn't know when I would get out in time to host the event.
Wow.
So I was like, forget it. I kept doing it. I organized the thing. I organized everything on my phone while sitting on a hospital bed. No one knows about that, bro. The first speeding event I did, I was in the hospital the night before. I kept going. And the reason why I kept going, buddy, was that in 2020, I gave myself two choices in life. I agree to you, bro. There's nothing meaning to it, bro. When I was getting, if I got a heart attack, that's it. Doesn't matter, right? Game over, right? There's nothing more to think about it. I'm getting to the meaning of life here, right? So what allowed me to push through, bro, was that it's very simple, right? I had two choices, Jonathan, when I was about to get a heart attack. So essentially, just imagine it's 2:00 in the morning. My left arm is bandaged up because I had to do an operation to put a fistula. I had a ECG on my chest to measure my heart. My right arm, I had an IV drip. I could not move from my hospital bed. And I overheard the nurses tell me that, hey, if we don't get Jeff's potassium levels down, because essentially when your kidneys aren't working, it can't regulate the potassium levels. It puts strain on your heart. You get a heart attack. So I'm in hospital. My left arm's bandaged. My right arm's got an IV drip. I've got an ECG machine, like cables everywhere. And you're telling me I'm going to get a heart attack. It's 2:00 in the morning. This is 2010. That's it, right?
Yep.
It was game over, buddy. I said to myself, I let go. What do you do, mate? What do you do? Now, the reason why I want to tell you this, mate, is that I had a dream, and this is going to be a story altogether in itself, right? But I'll keep it very simple, mate, because I saw the gates of heaven, and I knew my time was to go, right? But some black figure came in front of me, and I'm like, "You serious? I'm actually going to go to hell, right?" Very stereotypical, isn't it? Very stereotypical, isn't it? So I was like, "Oh, damn it! I'm going to go to hell, mate." All right, it is what it is, right? So this isn't a dream, by the way. It's so vivid. So and then suddenly, right, a sword comes down from the sky. I'm standing in heaven. You see a lot of cloud, and a sword comes down in heaven. So what do I do next? So there's a gate, but there's a black figure in front of me, and there's a sword between me and the black figure. This is in my dream, right? I can draw you this dream. It's so vivid, right? The human mind's a weird thing, bro. It's so complicated, right? Anyway, I picked up the sword. I woke up. My potassium levels came down. I avoided the heart attack.
Wow.
Okay.
So what did that sword signify?
So from that day onwards, mate, you got two choices, right? Either you give up or you keep fighting. Now,
okay.
I chose to keep fighting, but then you ask me why keep fighting when there's no meaning to life? That valid point, right?
Yeah.
I kept fighting because family. I'm lucky because I wanted to live, bro. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to enjoy life. I wanted to grow old. You know what I mean? in hindsight, I can tell you now the reasons why, right? Because I thought, but back then, bro, I didn't want to die.
Yeah, I don't want to die either.
You know what I mean? So anyway, so that's where the whole meaning of life thing came from me. And ever since, I've been trying to find a way where I can create that meaning. Now, for me, I agree with you. There's no meaning to life, buddy. But the positivity that I find in it is that I believe that if I can run this podcast with you, Jonathan, if I can basically be a nice guy and say good morning to the person I speak to for maybe 30 seconds, and I'm able to put a smile on that person's face, I reckon that's a great outcome. Now, for me, that's how I find joy. I find joy. Maybe fatherhood's changed me too, Jonathan. But what I'm trying to say, mate, is that I don't know where I'm going with this, mate, but all I want to say, mate, is that what you're going through, a lot of people are going through, mate. And it's fantastic.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt about that.
Yeah, and I go in and out of it in terms of the whole meaning of life thing, mate. But if you're on that journey, mate, good on you, mate. You will find it, Jonathan. You know, here's an interesting thing. Your mind's very rational, isn't it? Very rational, very numbers based. It's got to be tangible, right? And makes perfect sense, right? So I'm not going to tell you, mate, that hey, you'll be fine. You'll be fine, bro. You'll be fine. And the only thing I'm gonna tell you, mate, is that life is beautiful, mate. There is the bad. I'm just putting it out there, mate. You will come to that realization. You might not. But what I want to say to you right now, I live for these moments. You and I talking to you, being very thankful that in early 2017, this guy's still talking to me. That's just what works for me, mate. That's it, buddy. And because you asked me, have I been? I feel the same way. That's just me putting it out there.
Yeah, that's good to hear. It's good to hear for sure. Thanks a lot for sharing. I'm sure everyone have their own versions of
everyone's got their own version
of life.
But I'm not gonna.
I believe that I will find it one day, but of course,
it will take time.
Through the process right now. I'm not in a hurry actually.
Not in a hurry, mate.
Yeah,
but I'm more than. But when international borders up and I'm coming to Singapore, mate, and I don't have to spend like copious amounts of my time trying to get to the airport and do all these tests, I'm gonna come see you and slap you across the face, bro.
Yeah, I owe you a drink. Right? You
do, mate. You do.
In Chennai.
Yeah, man. This guy ordered everything under the menu. No, I'm kidding, mate. Like, they charged me, but I was actually surprised. Like, why are you charging me, mate? Like, I'm staying here. Just charge it back to Air India. They the ones who grounded me, mate. Can you still remember the taste of the roti?
No, I can't even remember what I had. Do you?
I can actually remember since you abandoned me. I can remember going down to a buffet downstairs in the restaurant hotel. It was brilliant, but needless to say, I did feel a bit lonely because you left me to go home, which is understandable.
Yeah, it was nice to bump into each other. I haven't told you this, but the reason why I think I pushed you in the airport was because I thought you were Singaporean as well. You look Singaporean actually. So I thought you were Singaporean and I wanted to, check with you what's going on. Have someone to talk to. Yeah, but I'm glad we talked.
Yeah, I'm glad we do it, man. Did you end up finding? I actually found out the reason as to why they grounded the plane.
It's due to some rats infestation, right?
Rat infestation, buddy. Are you serious? The funny thing is, I'm glad you and I did not go on that plane.
Because we met or because we didn't have to deal with the rats?
Well, yes, we met. Number two, we have to deal with the rats. Because I'm not too sure, flying at a certain altitude, you got rats sort of scrambling around, biting the wires or something like that, right?
You can have a new movie, right? Rats on the plane rather than snakes on the plane.
Why don't you and I we go pitch it to Netflix? We'll create a 10-part series, mate. There's your meaning of life, bro. Rats on planes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
That's one of joys in life, going through unexpected events that stay with you.
yeah, mate. It's a story, buddy. I love it. I love the story. I love like you fully realize that I love a conversation. So when I can't remember I can't remember who was the one who said hi first, but we did it. You know what I mean? We had the conversation. It was I never thanked you for making it bearable, because I'm like, serious. Oh man, this sucks. I was like, oh, 1 hour, 2 hour delay. Yeah, I'll be okay.
Yeah, I don't think we need to thank each other. I mean, I'm sure we both, appreciated each other's company. Otherwise, it would have been a lot more dreadful being in a foreign country, being driven, to a hotel when you should be going home.
Hey, do you remember the name? Do you remember the name of the hotel?
No, I don't. You do?
No, I want to find out.
Nah, I don't. I don't. Yeah.
I want to find out and relive the memory.
Yeah, but I mean, a very strange thing about that was, the airlines wanted to put strangers together in a hotel room.
Oh, yes.
I wouldn't have accepted that today, but I'm glad we met.
Yeah. But how is sort of the landscape in Singapore nowadays in terms of the whole? I know initially we talked about COVID, right? Obviously, you're in renewables right now. How is the people nowadays? Like like how's the Singaporean type of person evolved in a way?
A Singaporean type of person, just follow the rules, do your part in life, work hard, have kids, pay your bills. That's a typical Singaporean. Yeah, but the landscape, I think, rising costs.
Yeah,
rising costs in Singapore. Yeah, I think that's globally, right? So rising costs, people having to deal with it. Food costs are going up. Electricity costs are going up. And it's a recent topic where the government is going to raise the GST. It's the good and service tax, might be known as VAT in Australia. I don't know.
Well, we
so they're going to raise that.
Oh,
it's
really?
got GST as well. Yeah.
How much?
Yeah. It's going to raise by 2%, I think. So right now it's 7%. They're going to raise it to 2%, by 2% to 9%, most likely.
What's the purpose?
So just to cover the costs that you have over the last 2 years for healthcare, additional costs for dealing with COVID, and I think reduction in tourism, things like that. So just overall rise in costs and overall reduction in revenue. So increasing the GST to cover that. So that's one of the hot topics right now. So everybody's unhappy about it, of course.
Wow.
But it's part and parcel of life, right? Two things in life are certain: death and taxes. So that's increasing.
Wow. So
how would you feel about it?
Okay, so just confirming, 2% increase in the GST in Singapore, which is designed to pay for COVID relief.
It's not to pay for. It's not to pay for COVID. It's more to recover.
Replenish the funds.
Yeah. Exactly. So Singapore has this way of managing their finances. If I understand correctly, Singapore doesn't, take on debt like the US does. Singapore usually has a budget, and then they have a huge amount of reserves that they keep just for emergencies like COVID. So I think they've dipped into these reserves from the past, and now they're trying to replenish it. I wouldn't say to replenish the reserves, but to ensure that going forward they don't have to continue dipping to the reserve. That's how I understand it from a very basic level. So that's
because the GST in Singapore, that covers quite a large percentage of goods and services, yeah, or everything, or
almost everything actually. Yeah. So almost anything that you buy, be it food or services.
So from an economic growth point of view, that's really going to hold the brakes on consumption in Singapore, yeah, in GDP. But
I can't say for sure.
slowing demand, like it's sort of like using monetary. It's like using monetary policy to increase the borrowing cost for people, right? Therefore, that makes it people think twice about spending, right? So if you're telling me you're going to add
Oh
2%,
no, yeah, yeah. I don't think that's the intention of the GST. I don't think they were trying to slow down the inflation or the prices of Singapore. It's more really to just recover revenues for the government. So I think that's what I understand the main purpose of the GST increase to be. Yeah.
how long are they planning to do it for? Wow, that's interesting.
They've actually hinted this for a few years now. I think even all the way back 3, 4 years ago, I would say they've started hinting on this GST increase. So they've already prepared us mentally for a few years now. But I think this year for sure
They're going to
they're
implement
going to
it.
do it. Yeah, yeah. But I would say it just feels like a bad time, right? Because costs are already increasing because of COVID, supply chain disruptions and things like that.
Mm.
So on top of this, they're gonna add in the 2% GST. It just sucks to know that. But I wouldn't say that it's wrong of them to do that. I wouldn't claim to know whether it's right or wrong that they are doing this. But I'm just saying it just sucks to know that they're gonna do it at this point of time. Yeah.
Interesting, buddy. Interesting. So
Yeah. How would you feel if country like Australia increases some GST? Just want to know how you feel, how you would feel if they had to do that.
the natural reaction would be, okay, fine. It is. Let's be honest. We elect the government, right? You got to make the call, right? Now,
Yep, exactly.
by all means, they have reasons why. Personally, by all means, it might affect my consumption. Just that my mate's going to get the charger. Yeah, it'll affect my consumption. It's hard to say though, because it's not nice, but in Australia, right? Like getting back to experience, right? When I had a kidney transplant and the medication I've been having for the past 11 years, I paid.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's great that governments have that in place.
Yeah, and so if you're telling me you got to increase it, but then you got to go to it's going to go to public education, it's going to go to public hospitals or all that sort of thing. So be it. By all means, it's going to be abused. It's. I'm sure you're seeing news about the Australian government, how, rightly or wrongly, it's changing. I'm not too sure yet, mate. I probably feel a bit indifferent. By all means, obviously in Australia we are talking about we've got to increase the cash rate. But obviously our central bank person is sort of hesitant for the time being, based upon the fact that our wages aren't within a certain bound. But we elected a government for a reason, and obviously as a citizen, so be it. But I can see where you're coming from. In Singapore, these rising costs, given the period, it's not sort of ideal. So they're going to implement it soon. Have they going to say how long for?
What do you mean? How long for? How long between the?
For example, are they going to increase it indefinitely by another 2%?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be indefinitely for sure. Yeah. So they don't increase it and then reduce it again sometime later. That's not the plan. The plan is to just increase it and it stays there.
I know you're telling me the government is trying to replenish its funds because of COVID, right? But doesn't that indirectly mean that it's going to affect personal consumption?
Indirectly, yes, for sure. But how much, how direct the impact would be, it's going to be complicated, right? Us as a layman, I don't think we can really tell how much that is going to impact consumption.
For example, like if you're telling me it's going to be across the board, right? You might think twice about buying X or buying Y. Would you feel that would be the case, or do you think 2%? It's not that much.
I think it really depends on individuals. For myself, and I know for my wife as well, we're just gonna ignore that. I mean, it sucks to know that there's a 2% increase, but we're just gonna keep doing what we've been doing.
It is what it is, yeah. But obviously, for maybe the lower socioeconomic people.
Exactly.
It's going to be a big hit.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's a big hit because, again, based on what I understand, the government increases 2% GST, but they actually give rebates like in cash to households who have lower income. So they actually
Nice.
get back more than they pay. So it's not really a bigger burden on the lower income.
Got it.
They actually get rebates for the increase, but again, whether or not it's dollar for dollar or whether the rebate is more than what they're gonna pay out, I really can't tell because there's a lot of science and numbers to that, so I can't say. But for me and my wife, for sure we're gonna be paying out more than we're gonna be getting. So it just sucks, but I mean it is what it is. Like you said, we elected the government, we trust the government, and as you know, I think Singapore government can be trusted. So it is what it is.
You only really hear stuff from the news. Like a lot of my opinions or views will just be from the media, right? And what I realized, that you really got to listen to people who's on the ground. Like you're in Singapore, you've seen it all, you're born and bred. It makes more sense to read an article from you than to read a temporary reporter who's been there for a couple of hours. You know what I mean? Yep. Wow, that could be a big tectonic shift. Because you look cryptocurrencies, for example. You guys are sort of leading that space in terms of acceptance, regulation, I believe, along with Switzerland.
Not that I know of, actually. Regulation, yes, but it isn't really being, from my understanding, of course, from an outsider of the industry, regulation perspective, it's not being steered towards acceptance yet. It's more being steered towards creating awareness that cryptocurrency is not like your traditional money. It's not being handled by traditional institutions like the banks or your government regulatory bodies, things like that. So regulatory right now for cryptocurrency is steered more towards that, where making sure that people are aware of the risk involved in cryptocurrency transactions. So right now that's where it is, but I'm sure there are proceedings or things going on in the industry where people are trying to set out regulations or procedures such that cryptocurrency can be accepted as a currency in Singapore. So I think that's being done, but I don't think that is the focus of the government or the regulations right now. That's my understanding. That's what I see.
Very interesting. Mate, we're getting pretty serious, mate. So, mate, let's talk about honeymoon, mate, briefly, mate. Have you guys rebooked?
No, not yet. So, like I mentioned earlier, they're waiting for all these restrictions, procedures.
I know you mentioned Japan. I know you mentioned Japan to me, right?
Yeah, I think
you're still going to go to Japan. You're still picking Japan.
Yeah.
May I make a recommendation?
Yep.
How about something completely random?
For like where? Is something in mind?
How about back to nature?
No, my wife's not a nature type of person.
Oh, damn it. So you want shopping, cuisine, nightlife, all that jazz, or?
Mostly cuisine, places with more comfortable hotels.
All right. I'll give you halfway. How about a lodge in Patagonia?
Patagonia, where's that? Haven't heard of
that. Chile, I believe.
Chile? Yeah, it might be a bit too exotic for my wife.
Well, what are we trying to say?
We'll start with Japan. We can always go to these
all right, fine. Japan?
Popular places.
Okay, fine. Japan. I recommend you go to Yakushima Island.
Yakushima Island. What's that?
I'll send it to you. I'll text it to you later on. Yakushima Island. Have you ever watched Miyazaki, his films? Oh, no, you don't know that. Okay. Anyway, Yakushima Island. You're going to bring your hiking gear.
Hiking? Oh, my wife's not going to do that.
Oh, man. What's wrong with that one, mate?
No, she just doesn't want to be hiking on holiday, I believe.
She wants to, okay, damn it. All right.
Relax.
All right, man. Anyway, just hear me out. This. You can tell Amanda if you don't want to go, she can stay inside the five-star resort, all right? So for you, just to clear the mind, just to I don't have any. I'm not here to give answers, bro. Right? But what I do recommend is just something to clear the mind, something new, something different. Yakushima Island, go for a hike, bro. It's absolutely beautiful, mate. Get close to nature.
Yep.
Singapore, as we all know, is a lovely place, but it is very, very, very developed.
Yep.
Yakushima Island, Jonathan, you're gonna bring your hiking gear. You're gonna book a 5-star resort for your wife. You're gonna wake up at 5 o'clock, actually 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning. You're gonna go to a certain beach, and you're gonna hide yourself because at a certain time, hopefully depending on when you go, right, you're gonna see the leatherback turtles come back to shore and get their young.
Yep. Sounds like a sight to behold.
It's a sight to behold, mate. And
Yep.
meaning of life or whatever, mate. You're gonna go there, mate. You're gonna love it. Get yourself out of this. I'm so excited for your honeymoon, man. I wish I could come too. Actually,
Yeah.
wish I could come too. But I'm grounded for another year at least, mate. At least year and a half. I'm not going anywhere, man. So you need to live this for me, Jonathan.
Yeah, I'll let you know how it goes if we ever get to it. Not sure if you can still call it the honeymoon though. It's gonna
Yes,
be
you can. It will be, mate. It's
almost
gonna
3
be
years.
love it. Gotta love it. I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna talk to Amanda. I'm gonna be, mate. It's gonna be an amazing honeymoon, bro. That's something that's something I'm looking forward to, bro. From
My
you.
honeymoon.
Yeah, your honeymoon. Because I can't travel anymore for some time now because when my wife gives birth to the second one, right?
Yep.
Game over for me. I'll be changing. Do you know when I cook dinner, mate? I've got to cook 3 separate meals, mate. Now I got to cook 3 separate meals. First one's for my son, second one's for my wife, third one's for me. I eat last. But when a new one comes along, it's a girl. So I'm now like on the bottom rung now. So it's going to take me longer to eat dinner. So you got to live this stuff for me, mate. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to have so much fun.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. Yeah, I'll share some of the joy with you if I can.
Yeah, you're gonna make me jealous. You're gonna send me some photos, and I go, "I wish you could be here." And then you can't, and then you reply back 2 hours later. You go, "Nah, too bad. You're stuck at home."
Yeah, I'm sure you have your joys as well.
Yeah, bro. As you know from from what I've shared with you with my health. It wasn't like a health problem. I'm a different man, buddy.
Sure you are.
Completely changed, mate. Completely changed. But I do know that it could turn any moment.
Yeah. That's what I always believe as well. That one day, my mindset or my beliefs or my thinking will magically change. So
I reckon that's a great way to say it, mate. You know what I mean? And so any final words for the people listening, mate, the people watching this potentially? Like, I know you and I'm going to share this with you first, mate, to make sure you're happy with everything. Any final words, mate? I've managed to get a bit of a crowd of people now, Jonathan, mate, with this idea now.
That's
mate.
cool.
So
that's
you
cool.
you might become famous if that's okay with you.
Nah, I'm sure people might think of me as being an emo, being a depressed kid.
Nah, I think yeah, you're right. There will be people who's going to think like that, but then there'll be some people who really admire your courage to speak about it.
Yeah, that's good. Final words from me.
Doesn't have to be serious, mate. Doesn't have to be serious, man. You can talk crap. You can just make a joke. Could be anything, bro.
Yeah, I'll just end off with life really has no meaning. So enjoy what you have.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it, Jonathan. But mate, thank you for your time. It's good to see you, mate.
Good seeing you again. Speaking to you again.
Huge smile on my face for you organizing your time to come out. I don't know where you are, man, but where are you, by the way? Sorry.
Where am I? I'm Singapore.
No, where are you sitting?
Where are you sitting? I'm
in
a common area in this apartment that I'm living in. I just don't want to be at home because I'm renting right now with my wife. I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment while waiting for other apartment to be done.
Yeah.
So it's too small. I don't want to hear her. I don't want her to hear me speaking because it's a little bit awkward. So I just come up to this common area and to show you. It's a nice view, as you can see.
Lovely. It's lovely, bro.
Yeah, so I'm just sitting here having this conversation with you.
Brilliant. Love it. Love it, bro. Love it. So so you still want to text you details of Yakushima Island, or you just
Yeah,
go
sure,
away?
yeah. I'm just go without my wife if she's gonna be a burden to me.
That's all right. That's right. I'm not the problem is, right, I'm not too sure if there is a 5-star hotel there. That's the problem. And there's no shopping, by the way. There's nothing.
Nah, that's fine with me. I'll just go without my wife if she really doesn't want to.
Perfect, bro. But Jonathan, thanks for your time, buddy. Have a good night.
Thank you.
And say hi to Amanda for me, buddy. I'll chat to you soon.
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.
See you, buddy. Take care. Bye-bye.
See ya. Take care. Bye.